Okay.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. As we begin our meeting, I ask those in the audience to please silence your cell phones, as cell phone notifications can be distracting to others in the audience and to the board. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion, board? All right. Ms. Drake, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Mr. Trebaka?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Okay, so a new school year. We have new student representatives here tonight with us. From Auburn High School, we have Alexandra Jost. And from Blacksburg High School, we have Li Shu Wong. And Alexandra and Li Shu, will you please read our mission and belief statements?
MCPS is an innovative educational community. We value diversity and we are committed to equality and inclusion. MCPS empowers learners to realize success in an ever-changing global society through collaboration with communities, families, staff, and students.
MCPS provides a safe, engaging learning environment and intentional exposure to positive social, emotional, and academic experiences.
All students can learn in order to pursue their dreams. Schools are safe places of joy, wonder, and creativity. Every person deserves to be loved, valued, and respected. Kindness is an essential skill of a responsible, productive community member. The diversity of our community is one of our greatest strengths.
All people deserve equitable success to opportunities and resources. Every child deserves an advocate. Honoring the voices of students and other stakeholders strengthens the school community. Open communication and feedback are vital to our growth. Learning and teaching are collective efforts that begin at birth and involve the entire community. Relationship building and high expectations are foundational to student success.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to our honors, awards, and recognitions, and you guys are back up for the first of those, which is our student representative reports.
Blacksburg High School has kickstarted the school year with much excitement. With dress themes presented by our senior class office, we enjoyed watching our football team play in 2 games already, 1 home and 1 away, win or lose. The volleyball court was attended in huge numbers by teachers and students alike, which encouraged our team and drove them towards their 4-win, 0-loss season streak so far. And our cross-country team swept their most recent meet on August 26th, with the boys winning all 3 top places and the girls winning 2nd place. Outside of athletics, our very first club day of the year will be on September 19th, during which we will explore over 100 clubs led by students. Additionally, we will be hosting the Virginia Student Leaders Center meeting on our campus in November. We invite all MCPS high schools to participate in this prestigious event. And finally, our Paint Your Spot on the Lot fundraiser was very successful, raising a great deal of funds for the Thanksgiving basket. Thank you.
Thank you, Li Shu. Alexandra?
At Auburn High School, fall sports have started. Volleyball, cross country, and football all have games coming in this weekend. The cross country club is running this Saturday at Knights Crossing. AHS will compete in the VHSL one-act play competition and host districts and regionals in the coming weeks. Marching band will compete in their first ever competition this year on September 23rd at Salem High School. We have several colleges coming to visit our school over the next few weeks and have juniors and seniors heading to Radford University on September 15th to attend the college fair. Reiner FFA has 2 horse judging teams that have qualified for nationals. Our first competition is in October and the second is in early November. We are excited to announce that our homecoming is on September 30th, and that is all.
Okay, thank you so much. I always love how the school year starts off with a bang, doesn't it? All right, next on the agenda is for honors, awards, and recognitions, the Seniors of the Month. And Mr. Simpson, I think, is going to start our presentations tonight.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Bregan. It is my honor and privilege to present our 4 Seniors of the Month for MCPS. Each month, the board recognizes a senior from each high school for their outstanding accomplishments. A summary of their accomplishments will be displayed on the screen as each principal reads a statement prepared using information from the staff member who nominated them. Each principal will address the board in the following order: Chris Stewart, principal of Auburn High School, followed by Adam Simpson, principal of Blacksburg High School, Shane Gwynn, principal of Christiansburg High School, and finally Todd Lewis, principal of Eastern Montgomery High School. Mr. Stewart.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Bragan. It is my privilege to recognize Auburn High School's Senior of the Month. This evening, I would like to recognize Leah Faith Coons as the Auburn High School September Senior of the Month. Leah is here tonight with her parents. I'd like to invite them all up to stand and join me at the podium. I'd like to read a brief statement from one of our staff members. It has been a pleasure to get to know Leah over the last 4 years. She is an outstanding student and, more importantly, person. Leah greets everyone with a smile. She has worked hard in her classes, earning A's and B's in every course she has taken at AHS. She has pushed herself academically by taking several DE courses over the last 2 years. Leah has made the most of her high school opportunities, both in the classroom and on the playing field. She took Pharmacy Tech 1 as a junior and will take Pharmacy Tech 2 in the spring in an effort to earn her Pharmacy Tech license. She's played on some outstanding girls soccer teams while at AHS, twice finishing as the Class 1 state runner-up. Good luck in the future, and congratulations, Leah.
Hello again. It is now my honor and privilege to present to you Theo Villanueva as the Blacksburg High School Senior of the Month. Theo's family was not able to join us, but his 2 DECA advisors are with us, so they're going to come join him up here. So Theo, this is what Ms. Catley had to say about you. Theo Villanueva is the epitome of a fantastic student. As his marketing teacher and DECA advisor for 4 years now, I've always appreciated Theo's passion for everything he does. It is infectious, and I am thankful for how his positive attitude rubs off on our younger students. Theo has made a number of outstanding contributions to Blacksburg High School during his time with us. He served Blacksburg DECA as vice president of the member recruitment as a sophomore and represented Blacksburg High School, Montgomery County, and the Commonwealth on the international stage as a 2-year member of the Virginia DECA State Action Team. In addition to his leadership roles, he is a fierce DECA competitor, winning 2nd place at our international competition for his new business concept, Black Sheep Shoes. Outside of his role as DECA student leader and DECA competitor, Theo is an accomplished athlete, winning the 4A State Diving Championship last year. Impressively, Theo manages his academic coursework, DECA responsibilities, and dive team responsibilities, all while working part-time as both a gymnastics instructor and freelance marketing specialist for local businesses. His time management skills will take him far. Theo plans to spend next year working towards his undergraduate degree in business management with a concentration in marketing, and says he hopes to utilize what he learned in high school in DECA to take advantage of leadership opportunities in the field. Congratulations, Theo.
Good evening, Dr. Bragan, members of the board, and student reps. It is my pleasure to introduce the September Senior of the Month for Christiansburg High School as Mr. Addison Campbell. I'd like to ask Addison and his family to come forward at this time, please. When asking one of Addison's teachers to describe him, they said, "Addison is one of the most impressive students I've worked with in a very long time. He always has a positive attitude and is a very creative problem solver. He comes in each day with a positive energy and encourages others to always be their best. He challenges himself with numerous academic classes, is caring and compassionate to all students, and takes time to learn about people. Truly, he is a standout in all my years of teaching. Addison's future plans are to attend an educational institution and study environmental science or literature. Good luck and congrats, Addison.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Bragan. It's my honor to recognize the September Senior of the Month for Eastern Montgomery High School, Naomi Ramos Mendoza. This time, I ask Naomi and her mother to come forward. I'd like to read a quote from Ms. Amanda Morris, one of Naomi's teachers, to highlight Naomi's qualifications for this honor. Senior Naomi Ramos Mendoza is a delightful EMH student who models excellent behavior for her peers by being involved, kind, and motivated. Every year, she brings excitement to her classes, clubs, and activities. Naomi has a true passion for trying new things and is very open-minded. She has been involved in volleyball, the Equity Club, Yearbook, and Beta. This year, she will be EMHS's school board representative, and she plans on trying Interact, the Community Service Club. We are proud to nominate this talented, caring, and motivated student as our Senior of the Month. Please help me in congratulating Naomi Ramos Mendoza.
All right, thank you, principals. Next on the agenda is another student recognition for the stock market game, and I believe Mr. Sizemore will present that.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Chair, and Dr. Bragan. At this time, we would like to celebrate our winner in the stock market game. Here to tell you more about the competition and introduce our winner is Mrs. Brenda Mash. She is the gifted resource teacher at Christiansburg Elementary and Fallen Branch Elementary School and continues to do outstanding work with our gifted program. Mrs. Mash.
Good evening. And it's my pleasure to be here this evening and to introduce James Brando. And may we go ahead and have him come up with his parents? His parents are here with us this evening. Mrs. Morgan, would you like to come and join us too? Well, last year, as a fifth grader, James participated in the Invest Right competition at the elementary school level. The prompt was teamwork, more specifically in working with your team, and what types of teaming would your investment portfolio look like if you had $10,000 to invest for life. The essay entered by James garnered a first-place win for the entire state of Virginia. Kate Scott, Vice President of Programs, stated his essay was one of the best, if not the true best, essay I have seen from an elementary school student. In fact, it was superior to many of the middle and high school essays. She went on to say that James's essay was delightfully humorous, but absolutely on track in discussing the importance of teamwork with a variety of students and having a variety of stocks in his investment portfolio. Congratulations, James.
All right, the board's going to take a 10-minute break because we'd like to come down and meet some of our honorees in person and congratulate them. So we're going to take a 10-minute break and we'll meet people in the back of the room. Thanks. All right, we'll start up again in just a few minutes. All right. Okay, our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, parents, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start our public address, and we have the option to extend in 30-minute increments, which Ms. Drake will remind us of. If there are additional speakers after 90 minutes, the board will continue with their business meeting and hold one additional 30-minute session at the end of the business meeting. I'll call each speaker up by name in the order they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board doesn't respond to speakers during public address. The screen will show when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining and when time is up. Please state your name and the area of the county that you live in. And the first speakers are Carola Haas and Betty Thomas.
Thank you. My name is Carola Haas. I live in Reiner. Our current trans policy is in compliance with both state and federal law. Please don't be goaded into changing it to achieve some politicians' goals, charging expensive lawsuits to Montgomery County taxpayers. Hate harms kids. Misinformation and fear being spread about trans youth should not be influencing school policies. We all want youth to be safe and treated with respect. Demonizing one group of kids does not protect another group. We need our policies to focus on behaviors. If cisgender, meaning non-transgender boys, are assaulting each other in the locker room, is that okay? If girls are taking pictures of other girls' bodies and sharing them with other students, or threatening to post on social media, is that okay? No. The behaviors of harassment, assault, or invasion of privacy are not okay, and the gender or sex or sexual orientation of the perpetrators is irrelevant. We need to create a culture where all of our students are trained in and comfortable with bystander intervention. Too often, bullies pick on one kid, and other kids hope to immunize themselves against attack by aligning with the bully and joining in on the attack on other kids. This is not natural behavior. It's behavior that occurs when kids feel scared, powerless, and vulnerable. Our schools should be creating a culture where every kid knows that others in the room will support them if they speak up and say, "That's not funny," or "That's not okay." The perpetrators themselves may be victims of sexual abuse and need access to professional help, not a gang of other bullies laughing along with them. I appreciate the school board and administration's focus on treating all students with care and respect and working to ensure that we are targeting problem behaviors, not targeting groups of students. Claims that allowing trans students to use facilities that align with their gender identity puts cis students at risk of sexual assault are not supported by evidence and are discriminatory. Inappropriate and illegal behavior should not be condoned in schools, regardless of the student's sex or gender identity. All students deserve privacy and safety when using restrooms and locker rooms, and I applaud the school board for ensuring well-designed facilities are included in the CHS renovations. Accusing all trans students of being rapists is just as ridiculous as accusing all students of a particular race or national origin of being rapists. We wouldn't make a certain ethnic category of students use a separate locker room or bathroom just because some politicians claim people of that ethnicity or national origin are all rapists. If cis boys are committing sexual assaults, the school needs to address that behavior. Trans girls should not be punished for the behavior of cis boys or forced to use the same facilities as their assailants. When I was a child, Virginia laws against mixed-race marriages prohibited my parents' marriage. People called race mixing an abomination. I am not an abomination, and neither are our children who are just trying to exist in a society that wants them to fit into boxes that are not made for them.
All right, next is Betty Thomas, and after that is Christopher Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Betty Thomas and I live in Christiansburg. Many people come to you to complain about their child's school and the things that need to be fixed there. They come to you to complain about the way that the schools are run and the rules that are in them. I am here for an entirely different reason. I am here tonight to say thank you. About 3 years ago, I told you my story about my experiences in MCPS. After that speech, many of you reached out to my family and sat down to talk with us. The next year, I came back to you to ask to pass a transgender policy that would make the lives of trans kids in our schools much easier. Only a little while later, 5 school board members voted to pass that policy. Thank you for doing that. Before 6th grade, I sat down with Mr. Hipple and asked questions about how the school year was going to play out. I was told that I could have a single-stall bathroom in the main office. All of my teachers would be able to use my pronouns in front of my class, and I would get to use a different locker room as well, even though technically my locker room was also my bathroom. I did the same at the beginning of 7th grade, but this time with Principal Knott. Thank you for letting my principals help me. Before you passed the transgender policy, my life in school sucked. When I was in 3rd grade, I had to come out to my classmates one at a time. I had to build up the confidence to come out to them, and while doing so, I convinced myself that it was a bad idea, and so I never came out to any of them. So none of my friends that year really knew who I was. It was even worse in 2nd grade when I had just come out as transgender. I was told by my principal that I could be a potential threat to the school if any of my classmates knew that I was in fact transgender, so I was forced to stay in the closet. When you passed the transgender policy, I started being allowed to tell my classmates that I am transgender. My teachers are allowed to use my pronouns, and I feel much happier in school. Because you passed that policy, my life at school became much easier. On the first day of school for 5th grade, I stood up in front of my class and told them my name, my pronouns, and my gender identity. Because of that, one of my former classmates said their name and their pronouns. They were neo-pronouns, like mine. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't alone in my class. Thank you for giving me that feeling. Thank you for doing what was best for your students and passing the transgender policy. And try to think about that when you discuss Governor Youngkin's new model policies and the harm they would cause this evening. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas, thank you, Student Thomas. And next is Christopher Thomas, and after that, Kelly Brennan.
Chris Thomas, Christiansburg. Members of the board, I'd like to tell you a success story. Like most success stories, however, it starts out with a problem. You see, when my middle child, Betty, came out as gender non-binary, my family was already in crisis. Betty was a tangle of frustration, rage, sadness, and loneliness. I can't tell you how terrifying it is to see a young child fighting against such darkness and be unable to do anything to help. So it was a great relief to have a name to put to everything Betty faced. Betty is transgender. And knowing that, we could finally begin to help Zur. Zur, In fact, language was the first step. Betty asked us to use ze and zer pronouns and to avoid gendered words like boy or girl to refer to zer. It was an adjustment, and it still is, but we work at it as a family, and over the years it's become second nature. There were many other steps that followed, and they brought about real improvements for Betty, but no matter how affirming we were as a family, Z still had to spend 8 hours a day at school. And as you just heard, school was a hard place for Betty. The damage those 8 hours caused was real. Betty experienced profound learning loss and had constant anxiety about what Zer classmates might think about Zer if they knew. And it went on for years. And then the board passed the current MCPS transgender policies the summer before Betty's 5th grade year, and it was like a light switch had been thrown. Betty came back from school full of wonder and excitement. Z excelled academically. Z built not just rapport, but lasting friendships with Zer peers and even Zer teachers. Betty could be Betty, and Z found that Z could be accepted for who that is. 6th and 7th grade have built on that success. Betty uses a non-gendered bathroom and locker room, and Z is apparently beloved by the front office staff at CMS, who never miss an opportunity to tell me or anyone else who will listen how much they enjoy getting to see Zer every day. Principal Knott saw to it that every one of Betty's teachers knew what to expect, even before back-to-school night. And that means that Betty's classmates, teachers, and even Zer cross-country teammates have a relationship with the person Betty is, and not the person you might just assume Betty to be at first glance. As a result, Betty loves school. Z counted down the days until the semester started, woke up insanely early on the first day, and bounded out to meet the bus a solid 20 minutes before it showed up. Thank you. You did this. And you stood by Betty when Z was vilified by our board of supervisors. You expressed outrage when a candidate for this board used a picture of Zer and Zer siblings in a political attack on her opponent. And you, all of you, have shown Betty what leadership and service really mean. Thank you for that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't know how anyone could say that they want to protect kids or believe in education or care about learning outcomes and try to undo the progress we've made. I don't know how anyone could look at Betty today and Betty 5 years ago and say we need to go back to the way things used to be. Please consider that when discussing Governor Youngkin's policies.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And I'll correct myself. It's Mix Thomas before for Betty, so I'm still learning too. All right, next is Kelly Brennan, and after Mr. Brennan is Aaron Scardo.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Brennan, and I live in Reiner. I hope you all are well tonight. It's always great to see our student representatives on the board. I'm really excited to have student voices here. It's just so important that we hear them and listen to them. And thanks to each and every one of you, because I know you have a sincere commitment to our schools, to our kids, and it's a really tough job. So thank you all very much. And on that note, last week you met with the Board of Supervisors, and I found that meeting both informative and encouraging. Informative because I really don't know much, and encouraging because there truly seems to be an appetite for increased communications and coordination of efforts between the two boards. And I would encourage this board, and particularly the leadership of this board, to seize the moment and continue to build momentum towards greater collaboration now and into the future, because as I just said, it takes all of us working together to produce the best outcomes. And speaking of that, I had to run to town today to fix a flat tire, and took the time and mustered the courage to stop by the shop and say hello to Miss Bond. I say time because we all lead very busy lives, and it can truly be difficult to make time, to take time, or something like that. And I say courage because, I say courage because I know Ms. Bond and I have very different viewpoints on a lot of issues. And the honest truth is we tend to speak to the people that we agree with because it makes us more comfortable and it reinforces our beliefs about the world. The result of this behavior, though, is that we tend to perceive the folks we do not speak to as a threat. We demonize them, we bully them, and sometimes we even physically harm them. This is precisely what is happening to our trans kids. You all know that I support our current state and federally compliant policy, and that support is largely based on my concern for the health and safety of our trans students. Now, it's not a perfect policy, nor was it arrived at in an ideal way or in a way that I would have liked. But we need to retain our current policy and continue the discussions so that we can create an environment where everyone not only feels safe, but is safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. And finally, Aaron Scardo.
My name is Aaron Scardo, and I'm a student at Blacksburg High School. Greetings, members of the board and Dr. Bragan. I'm here once again to ask that the new model policies from the Virginia Department of Education in Glen Youngkin not be implemented. These policies are at odds with what MCPS should strive to be, which is a place where everyone can learn as well as be an inclusive space where they can feel safe being themselves regardless of race, sex, disability status, gender, or sexuality. On top of this, these policies do not encourage, engage, nor empower. In fact, they do the opposite. These policies do not engage the needs of trans or non-binary students. Instead, these policies make trans and non-binary students lose a mutual trust in those that they would otherwise trust and feel safer around, feel less safe in their environment, as well as damage their emotional well-being, which is at odds with an MCPS core value, that being the emotional well-being of students, as well as mutual trust and respect. These policies do not encourage trans and non-binary students to be themselves. They actively discourage that by removing an environment where they could feel safe expressing themselves, and in some cases, that's their only environment where they can feel such safety. The policies also discourage open communication and mutual trust, as it forces them to hide their true selves and fear consequences whether in school or at home. These policies do not empower trans or non-binary students. Instead, these policies remove their say in how they themselves want to be addressed, as well as the name they prefer to go by and what restroom they're allowed to use. It also removes the power for transgender students to be themselves, which, as I've just stated, makes students questioning their gender identity feel as if they have to hide their true selves. These policies, as stated, do not engage, encourage, nor do they empower, which is the opposite of the overall mission of Montgomery County Public Schools. These policies, if implemented, will set that as well as MCPS core values aside. Please do not set your values that the school system runs on the side for policies that are backed by prejudice and ignorance. Instead, stay true to your mission and choose policies that will engage, encourage, and empower. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, seeing no one else signed up, public address is closed. Next on the agenda is consent items. If no one wishes to move an item out of consent, we will consider these items approved, board. Okay. Next, we have financial reports, payment of the bills. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills from the 22-23 fiscal year as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, Ms. Drake, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond? Yes. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton? Yes. Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Financial summary report. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the financial summary report, board?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Drake.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton? Yes. Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, we move on to the business portion of our meeting. We'll start with the report from the superintendent. Dr. Reagan, it's yours.
Thank you, Board Chair Chewbacca. Got a few things to report. The first is I want to congratulate one of our school board members, Mrs. Dana Parton, on her appointment by Governor Youngkin to the Advisory Committee on Juvenile Justice and Prevention. Congratulations. Second, I'd like to report that we had a great opening of school this year. You know, our last meeting was, I think, the day or two before school started. And it was great, and we had very minimal issues that presented themselves. And everybody told me how great transportation was this year compared to years past, so kudos to the team that put all that together and worked hard on that. But for everybody, our students and staff easily transitioned to the back-to-school mode, which was really impressive for me to see and indicates that hopefully we got a good year moving forward. I had asked Ms. Drake to put together a little video that we had shared on the internet, on Twitter. I believe we sent it out on the first day of school, just some kids getting on school, getting off their buses, getting into school. If we could show that real quick, I think it captures what that day was like. We were going to get that for our retreat, Ms. Bond. Thanks, Ms. Drake. Hey, just a small reminder, all the efforts put in by this board and all the employees in the division that work hard every day, it comes to fruition when we bring kids through the front door on the starting day, and I thought that was a nice way to capture what I hope will be a great year as we move forward. Another thing to report, our Montgomery County Education Association, the election that was conducted a little bit a while ago, was certified by a third party, which means that they will officially be the sole representative for our professional and administrative staff for collective bargaining moving forward. A resolution is going to appear on our next agenda certifying these results so that they can move forward with that process. We did hear a public comment today, some concerns about our model policy review that came from the governor's office. Our administrator for equity, Ms. Wood-Setzer, unfortunately had a death in her family. She was going to present on that crosswalk today and compare what those tenets are from the model policy and what our current policy is. She will present that at a future meeting when she's able to do so. Our current policy, as was stated, is effective and will remain in effect, which is currently, we believe, meeting all of our students' needs. And at that time, if there's any adjustments or things that need to be made, that'll be presented to the board for their decision at that time. Again, Ms. Wood-Setzer will present on that as our equity administrator at a future date. And happy news to report, on a state budget update. There's a special legislative session that's supposed to take place tomorrow, and what I'm hearing is there may be additional funds that are provided for this school year. Again, fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. We got some correspondence from the superintendent and the school boards associations over the weekend, but it's tomorrow, and if I get an update for that, I'll share with everybody. Thank you, Board Chair Chewbacca.
Thanks, Dr. Bregan. Man, Dana, you work fast. I'm just kidding. All right, next on the agenda is enrollment update. So this is a presentation.
Good evening. Let's see if this is on. Ms. Drake, you may have to, there we go. So tonight I want to share an update with our enrollment numbers. So what you have here, we've added today, and we did pick up over 20 students today, as you can see. As you go across and you look at the total for our elementary students, as of today, we have 4,067 elementary students. For our middle school students, we have 2,289 middle school students enrolled, and in high school, we have 3,052. All right, Brenda, you may have to, the clicker's not working. It has a mind of its own. So this particular chart, this includes our enrollment over the past 5 years. So we looked at this before. Again, we wanted to take a look at September 5th as of today. Like I said, we always pick up some students after Labor Day. But if you take a look at our trend for elementary, you can see back before COVID, we had 4,515 students. If we compare 10-day to 10-day enrollment, that would be 4,057. So our biggest decrease has been in our elementary numbers. But if you take a look at our middle school students, again, 1920, we had 2,331 students compared to our 10-day this year, 2,285. And if you move all the way down to our high school, again, before COVID, 2,978 compared to our 10-day this year at 3,045. So overall, again, we can see our secondary numbers trending up this year in particular at the middle school, and it's our elementary school numbers that are down. What that means for us in terms of class size, so this is just a comparison again, 10-day enrollment compared to where we are today. You can see a little bit of a bump, but across the board in all of our elementary schools, K through 5, you can see that that no class has more than 20, 21 students in it. And again, this is the overall average for the school. So again, looking at our middle school and high school, again, our PTR, number of students in our classes overall, really good numbers. Of course, our highest school currently happens to be BHS. So a lot of numbers. Any questions about our enrollment at this time?
Board? I've got a couple. So I'm trying to look at the data here, and I mean, are there any conclusions that you guys are, is this a long-term trend? Is this expected to be I don't want to say short-term because it's a trend that's already more than just 2 or 3 years. Is it a medium-term trend, or are we seeing something more fundamental here? Because it is, I don't want to say concerning, but I look at the elementary numbers and those are falling off, and of course elementary then feeds middle school and high school, so, you know, are we expecting those numbers then to go down in the future? And is our overall numbers expected to go down?
So it's a really good question. So for the past few years, of course, elementary school was up. So as those children are moving into the middle school level, we see those numbers going up. What we would like to think is going to happen with all of the developments in the area, we certainly think that our numbers will get to a place that they will increase. However, we do recognize that nationally there has been a decrease in birth rates across the country. But again, as we look around and we see all the building that's going on, it's certainly our hope that we're going to see these numbers increase.
Mm-hmm. I think some of that may be too, as I drove around in Gilbert Lincoln's neighborhood today. a lot of those homes that used to be occupied by families, I think, are now part of the housing for the college students, which typically don't send kids to school, right? So as we mentioned at the joint meeting we had last week, it does seem like a demographic study is in order. Get a firm in place and really check out, are the rentals increasing, or older people holding on to their homes because the increase in the interest rates or preventing them from going to another home, or people just having less babies in this community? Because it seems like we're growing and there's more building, more people moving in. So I think we'd have to get that accurate information and make those assessments 5 years, 10 years out.
At the joint session with Town of Blacksburg, Montgomery County, Town of Christiansburg, they're seeing the same. They're seeing the same evolution of what Dr. Brigham described. So I don't think it's specific just to us. They've even said that they've talked to other town managers and have seen the same.
Okay. I mean, I think for us and for this board as we move forward, I start 3 months out here, so maybe I should start using the word us a little more loosely. But I do think that the board should, when we're looking at also how we're going to do our capital projects and how many students are we going to build out for in the future? Are we doing projects for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30? I don't think we're doing them for 20 or 30 years necessarily. At least we haven't been. And I'm not sure that we have the money to do that. And so I think this becomes really important for figuring out, how much to build out some of these schools from a capital point of view. So I do think it's important that we do that study and take a look at this long term. Oh, and with that in mind too, it would be good at some point to pull together some accurate numbers, I guess, on what our building capacities are. Both, I know there's a design capacity and then there's like an actual capacity, and I think it might be good to get those numbers nailed down too in the near future.
Yes, Dr. Whitaker, she's working on those. We hope to have those for you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we do need
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I mean, I'm sure there's a variety of factors at play, but, one of the things that struck me after thinking about this, after our joint meeting, it's just housing prices right now are just through the roof in some parts of the county, if not everywhere. And so you see a lot of these elementary schools, they're declining in enrollment. I don't know how young families can afford to move into the area in some places. And so, yeah, it would be interesting to see if housing prices cool down over time, if those elementary numbers start to go back up again. And I'm sure a lot of the families that have had kids in the area are probably still here, like waiting on their housing prices to keep going up, right? So they can sell at some point, right? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's a bunch of factors in play, but I gotta believe the price of housing is one of them.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that's also an issue that we probably need to work with especially the towns on, because I think that especially when you start looking at multifamily housing that's maybe more affordable, I know that's something that Blacksburg's been working. I should say that's something that Blacksburg's been talking about for years. I know they've been working on it to some degree. I think mostly what I've seen movement in kind of the LMI, low to moderate income area, but I think that even M and H, moderate and high income people can, it's starting to become difficult to afford. So this is something that definitely affects us and will probably require some conversations with the towns on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is a grant proposal, MCEF. Board, do I have a motion to approve the grant proposal, Montgomery County Education Foundation 2023 grant cycle?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board?
I am always thankful for all the work that this committee does to get funds, process the grants, because this gives our teachers the ability to try new things with their students that will engage them and in ways that maybe the traditional style of teaching will not. So I'm thankful for this organization, that it continues to be very robust, and much like our gifted program, I feel like it really propels us to the next level. It pushes us there.
I would definitely second that, and seeing the work that the committee does, the volunteers that sit down and go through all the grants, weigh their merits, they really try hard to make sure everything that meets the criteria and all the good stuff, get funding, and it's amazing the stuff that they are able to accomplish, so all good stuff.
Yeah, almost 26 applications, almost $25,000, so that's really impressive. So yeah, many thanks to the MCEF for that. All right, if there's no more discussion, I think we have a motion and a second. Ms. Drake, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond? Yes. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Mr. Trebacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Next, we have another grant proposal, Exploring ESY. Do I have a motion to approve this grant proposal?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? This is for an extended school year in the Shawsville community, right? For SMS only, right? Okay. Okay.
Ms. Bond? Yes. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Mr. Trebacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the grant proposal, Stronger Connections School Safety Grant?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Mr. Trebacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right. And next we have a grant funding update. I believe this is just a presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Trebacca, members of the board, Dr. Bragan. Traditionally, for many years, we would come to you annually and say, here's where we are and here's how we're doing with our grant funding, but it's been, we've been several years since the pandemic, since this has happened. So really, this is just an opportunity to put some numbers in front of you and give you a chance to ask some questions if there's anything that you'd like additional information on. So as you can see, since January 21, we have applied for 127 competitive grants, and we have had a great deal of success, about $5.6 million over that time period. You can see each of the years and the awards for those years. You can see that this year we're showing 29 pending applications. Obviously, 26 of those are currently from MCF. So you can see the 3 that are outstanding, and then the 3 behind that are the 3 that you just approved. So you can see that the ones, those are the ones that we're looking at there. The following charts just show you by category where the money has fallen out. So sometimes you see small things, or some things might look a little odd with the way some of those numbers are. It's just the category system that I kind of inherited over time and how we've grouped those things. But you can see, CTE has been a consistent, strong suit for us. Mr. Husband has had a great deal of success with the competitive equipment grant each year, which has gotten us, I think we're on 5 or 6 years in a row on that one. School nutrition, that's been a new one recently. We've had some success with the dishwashers and ovens and a few of those items. And then if you look at the second chart, you can see some of our other big ones here. Obviously, the 2 large ones are student services. The lion's share of that is coming from Boys and Girls Club. So we got, we had Eastern Montgomery Elementary funded last year for 3 years. And we did just receive word since the last time that I brought grants to you back in June that Christiansburg Middle and the combined club at Shawsville Middle and Eastmont High School were both fully funded for the next 3 years as well. So that's about, that's the large chunk of the $2.2 million is the Boys and Girls Club grants. So with that said, those are that's just where we are, just giving you an update. Does the board have any questions or anything that you'd like more information on?
So the total amount that we receive is, am I reading this right, that it's, there's a requested and then there's the pending, right? But, oh, I see, so the amount awarded, so it's $5.6 million.
So we've received $5.6 million since January of '21, and there's another $400,000 that's sitting out there that we've applied for, but we haven't received.
That's a significant amount of money. I mean, we're looking at a 1 to 2% of our budget here, right, in grants, so.
Yeah, if my job is to showcase stuff that goes on in the county and tell people how great it is and bring in more resources, it's an easy job in some ways. So there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
I'm thankful several years ago when we made that position available, because we were drowning. We knew that there were so many grants out there that we could be getting, and we needed somebody dedicated to do that. So I'm glad that worked out.
I want to say thank you to you, because everybody is trying to get these grants, everybody. So you have to be good at what you do. You have to be a good grant writer. So you have done an awesome job, and that's not easy. That's a very difficult job. So thank you so much for all of this.
Thank you.
So I agree with Ms. Graham many, many years ago when this position was created, I think, under Fred Morton. And we've only had 2 grant writers since then. And both of you have been excellent at looking at resources to help us fund our schools and support our teachers and students. And through that, I have also watched our staff and our teachers and everyone else understand the power of grants, and that there is money out there, and seeing different folks' names attached to those is just wonderful, because everybody's doing the same thing, trying to find what they need, because public education is just not funded.
Right.
So I appreciate everybody's efforts with this.
It's been, I do, one of my favorite things is that I get to work with everybody. I learn about dishwashers, and I learn about electric school buses, and it's a great job. It's no secret I have the best job in the division. But,
Okay, thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda is the model policies. Now, I know that Ms. Wood-Setzler is not here to present. Did you want to say anything about where we are on this? Is there anything for the staff, I guess, to report on this?
I don't want to steal the thunder from Ms. Wood-Setzler when she does her presentation, but, as I said earlier during the superintendent's comments or report, that our policy that we have in place now is effective at meeting our students' needs. I don't anticipate it changing. And my cursory view of the model policies, we're in compliance with what we do. And I think this board and the previous board, whoever put that policy together, was progressive in thinking ahead. And again, I don't want to take her thunder, because she did the crosswalk in comparing our policy with the actual tenets of the model policies, and she'll present on those. I don't anticipate much change.
Okay. All right. Board, any questions or comments? Okay. We will get that on a future meeting. All right, and then last thing in our business meeting is the staffing update. And I see Ms. Widener coming up to give us a presentation on that.
Good evening, Chair Chewbacca, school board members, Dr. Bragan. I'm here to give you an update on where we stand with staffing as we start the month of September. I want to start off by sharing some comparisons. This is a comparison to where we are now, August 29th. This was August 29th last week, to where we were 2 weeks ago. So you can see we have made some progress in filling positions over the last 2 weeks. Even where we continue to have the same number of vacancies, you'll notice that we are further into the hiring process. The second comparison just gives you kind of a snapshot at where we are now compared to where we were a year ago. So that first column, you see vacancies on August 30th, 2022. The second column is where we are now. You can see some of the numbers are similar. We have slightly more administrative vacancies, 2 more elementary certified. We actually have less secondary certified vacancies at this time than we did a year ago. The biggest difference, I think, is in the area of special education. And as we know, special education jobs are hard to fill, not just in Montgomery County, not just in Virginia, but nationally. That has become a critical shortage area. And then you can see the comparison of our classified positions, slightly more this year than we had last year at this time. So those are just some comparisons. I'll now go through each category and just kind of highlight for you the existing vacancies we have and where we are with each of those. So those are our 4 administrator positions that we currently have open, and we are in the process of hiring for 3 of those. Moving on to elementary. Last time I was here, we still had a vacancy in the classroom at KIPS. That position has been filled. We do have a teacher in place there. We're still looking for a reading specialist at at Harding. We're still looking for school counselors at 2 of our elementary schools. We've reduced our special education teacher vacancies from 5 to 4 and are continuing to look at applications and do interviews. We have filled our 2 preschool special education positions, so that's good news. And we continue to have a speech language pathologist and school psychologist position open in special education. In secondary, we continue to have 2 school counselor positions open at Auburn Middle School and at Blacksburg High School, and we are using long-term substitutes in place there. We have a half-time reading literacy coach position, and we are in the hiring process for our 1 special education teacher position at the secondary level, which is at Christiansburg Middle School. Moving on to our classified employee vacancies, we're still continuing to look for HVAC positions, although we do have some new and recent applicants there. A grounds maintenance position, and we are looking for a computer technician in technology. In the transportation department, we have recently filled some positions. We did recently convert some 4.25 positions to 6.5 positions, and with that, that has drawn some additional applicants. So 2 candidates are in the hiring process there. And then we have 1 vacancy in our 4.2-hour positions. And we're looking for a fleet technician. We have filled 1 bus aide position and still have 2 others. So that's the transportation department. Other classified positions, we are still looking for a full-time athletic trainer at Blacksburg High School, although in the hiring process, we have identified an individual who is serving as a part-time as a substitute. We are looking for a school nurse at Christiansburg Elementary School. We have filled 1 of our instructional aide positions at Harding and are still looking to fill 2 positions at Eastern Montgomery Elementary. We are in the process of filling a preschool position. In fact, somebody was recommended this evening. And then we have filled a number of special education aide positions. At the last meeting, we had 13.5 vacancies. We've reduced that to 9. And I checked this evening, we have 4 candidates that are in the recommendation process there. We have a new vacancy in the communication specialist and deputy clerk position, which you're aware of. We have an open administrative assistant position at the school board office that we are in the hiring process for. 2 administrative assistant positions in buildings. We have a candidate in place for 1 of those buildings and are accepting applications for the other. We're in the hiring process for our part-time payroll specialist, and we are accepting applications for our school nurse at CES. We have filled a number of lunch recess aide positions in the last 2 weeks. You'll notice those vacancies have decreased from 7 to 4, and there are 2 additional candidates that are in the hiring process. We're accepting applications for a lunch or a recess aide at Christiansburg Elementary School in Gilbert Lincoln. We have a candidate for our IS aide position at Blacksburg Middle School. We're accepting applications for our virtual lab aide at Auburn High School. We've reduced our elementary custodians. We had 4 vacancies at our last meeting. We currently have 3, so we've done a little hiring there. And we still have 8 vacancies at the secondary level, but there is a candidate in the hiring process. And then just to give you a quick breakdown of how we're doing with subs, we currently have 364 active subs, and our fill rates have been good during the first 2 weeks of school. We've had about almost a 96% fill rate for teachers, and even our aide fill rate is up. It's averaging about 71%. So what questions do you have?
Sounds good. I'm glad things are looking up.
Yep, it's hard work.
I think the board needs to be thinking about custodians and what we could do to help.
Yeah, I've been saying that for several years.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dr. Whitaker had a great idea for, for our bus drivers, and I was thankful that that was brought to us. So I just think we need to really think outside the box of what we can do for our custodians to attract more of them.
I had the experience with the person I had recommended, and I know that money was an issue for him, and I just think that that's the answer, is to pay more. I mean, I don't know. I know it's a budget issue, but
Yeah, but that's the key. That's what we've been saying for a long time, that, I spoke with a custodian, and he was sharing that it's not only just cleaning. I think that people think it's, he said that when, you get these little mischievous students that go in and destroy the towel dispensers and leave the water on and drown the bathrooms, and, they're the ones that's got to go in and fix that stuff and clean it. I mean, we sometimes think all the load falls on a certain group, and it's not. It's on all of them. But yet our pay is very, very different for certain levels. And sometimes, as I've always said, that's just not right. And custodians have always been kind of the bottom of the barrel on the pay. And it's just, that's not right for the work they have to do. They've got to clean up after everybody.
And I was told that they also shovel the snow, the sidewalks, and I thought that was our grounds folks for all these years. So they have to clean up after ball games and extracurricular activities, and we need to pay these folks, especially folks who are working the odd hours.
yeah, I was going to say some kind of, a differential for a shift differential for working what is it? Is it 3 to 11 they work, or 2 to?
2:30 to 10:30. Now, they are paid on a different scale.
They are, okay.
Well, and two, I think there's been a lot of talk about, us changing some of the prices for our buildings and fields and things like that on rental. But this is partly why, because they're the ones, and I've got pictures of overflowing trash at events and things like that. Our custodial staff is one who has to go and clean that up. Most of people that come and rent our facilities don't usually have staff that takes care of that kind of thing. So that falls on us. So that's more work on them, more that they have to do. So of course, we're going to have to charge more for our spaces. And I'm not just talking about buildings, but fields and different things. So, that's another reason right there of why we needed to, so.
So I certainly agree with that, and also agree with the assessment that does require money, which we don't exactly, aren't getting extra money for this. So I think we may have to think a little bit outside the box on these. But I do also want to highlight that I think when we're talking about shortages, that we should also put in that conversation the special ed aides, instructional aides, because I think that
I agree
those
100%.
vacancies affect, they affect maybe a smaller group of students, but they affect them directly. And I just think that's, I was talking with a mom of a special needs child a few weeks ago, and they don't have an aide for her student, and so she has to go in. So, can you imagine, being a working parent and basically having to do, juggle that job? So I do think that one is really important one. I think that we need to start at least coming up with a plan and prioritizing it, so that when we do have additional monies, in subsequent budgets, that we can address, or at least begin to address, some of those shortfalls.
Yeah. I had some real good insight from talking with one of our special ed aides, and saying that they felt many of the folks who take those positions don't really truly understand everything that's involved, and that maybe some having candidates shadow the aides who are already in place, so that they understand what their job entails and how they need to understand better, that maybe we'll be able to retain some folks and not have such a big turnover, because folks will have a better idea of what's going on or what to expect, which I thought was a wonderful idea.
Some
As well
additional
as some-
training.
As well as some training once they are hired when school starts.
Well, absolutely, but I'm just saying, even with school starting, you have a candidate and they said, okay, I'll take that job, but they truly don't understand what happens on a day-to-day basis.
True.
And how they can manage those situations and be able to make it through. When you have someone who's experienced and has done the job, and then someone is seeing exactly what happens, it can make a difference whether I'm going to take this or not, or, okay, I can handle that with some coaching and some training. Because I don't believe, and I've said this for years, that our staff, even our students, truly understand the needs of a lot of our special needs students, and everyone has to have more education as to how we support that part of our community.
100%.
Okay. Any other comments?
If I may.
Yes, please.
I actually had an inquiry about the increase in vacancies overall. Well, overall, is it due to a shift in where the employees are going on? Like, are they changing positions, or are they just leaving overall? And would there be a reason?
I think it's a variety of factors. I mean, sometimes we lose employees because they take other jobs, sometimes they leave the area. We've had a few situations where we've had, for example, recently 2 employees who, one was a substitute, one was a special ed aide, and they've actually applied to be teachers. So sometimes people move from one position to another.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ryder. All right, so on to the next thing, unfinished business. We don't have any items of unfinished business, so we are on to new business. Board, does anyone have any items of new business? All right, hearing none. Announcements or information? No announcements, board, all right.
I was just going to throw out, I went down to the board meeting for the Southwest Virginia Government School.
Great.
They're off to a great start in their new school year, in their new facility down there at New River Community College in Pulaski. Great facility down there. The staff are really working well with the folks and taking advantage of all the new spaces, the exciting opportunities down there. So it's working out really well.
I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Linwood. All right, if there isn't anything else, we'll move on to upcoming school board meetings, which you can see on board docs under agenda prep. And we need to go into closed session to discuss some things. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session as authorized by Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss 7 student matters, 3 personnel matters, and 1 real estate matter? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Drake, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Bond? Ms. Franklin? Yes. Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Ms. Cass?
Yes.
Ms. Parton?
Yes.
Mr. Chewbacca?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. We are in closed session. Thank you.